The night was cold and silent. Outside, the wind moved through the trees like a whisper. Inside the small house, Ethan sat beside his mother's bed, his hands shaking. Her breathing was heavy, short, and painful. Every few seconds she gasped for air. He had already called the hospital 3 times, but no one answered. The storm had broken the power lines. Even the phone signal came and went. He tried again. Nothing. Please, Mom. Stay with me, he whispered, holding her hand. The room was dark except for a small lamp. The air smelled of medicine and fear. Ethan's mother had been sick for weeks, but tonight, it was worse. He could see it in her pale face, in the way her chest rose and fell slower each time. Tears filled his eyes. He was only 16. He didn't know what to do. He wanted to scream, but his voice was stuck in his throat, and then, knock. Ethan froze. The sound came from the front door. He looked at the clock. 12:03 a.m. Who could it be at this hour? Another knock. Softer this time. He stood up slowly, his heart beating fast. Who's there? He called out, but no one answered. The third knock came, gentle but clear. Ethan walked to the door. The wooden floor creaked under his feet. When he opened it, the wind hit his face, cold and sharp, and there she was. A little girl stood on the porch. She looked no older than 9. Her hair was silver, glowing faintly in the dark. Her eyes were bright blue, not normal blue, but shining like glass under moonlight. Her skin had a soft light of its own, as if she was made of stars. Ethan blinked, thinking he was imagining things. Maybe he was too tired. Maybe he had fallen asleep beside his mom. But then she spoke. Her voice was soft and calm. Please, your mother is in danger. I can help. Ethan took a step back. What? Who are you? How do you know my mom? The girl looked at him with sad eyes. She can't breathe. I felt it. Her words sent a chill through him. How could she feel it? You need to leave, Ethan said, trying to sound brave. This is private. My mom's sick. The girl didn't move. I can help her, please. You must let me in. Ethan's hands were trembling. He looked back at his mother's room. She was coughing weakly, gasping for air. He didn't know what else to do. Who sent you? He asked. No one, she whispered. I came because I heard her pain. The wind howled behind her. Her silver hair floated like light smoke. She looked cold, but there was something kind in her face, something real. Ethan hesitated for a moment, then stepped aside. Okay, but if you try anything, I won't, she said gently, walking in. Her bare feet made no sound on the floor. The light from her skin filled the room like soft moonlight. Ethan led her to the bedroom. His mother was still gasping for breath. The little girl looked at her for a long moment, her blue eyes glowing brighter. What's your name? Ethan asked quietly. Lyra, she said. I'm not from here, Ethan frowned. Not from this town? Lyra shook her head. Not from this world, he froze. His mind spun. You mean, you're an alien? Lyra didn't answer. She just placed her small hand on his mother's chest. A faint blue light spread from her fingers. The air felt warm, soft, and almost alive. Ethan watched in shock. His mother's breathing began to slow, then steady. Her chest rose and fell in rhythm again. The color slowly returned to her cheeks. What are you doing? He asked. Lyra whispered, I'm healing her. Just a little. Her face looked pained, like it was costing her something. Sweat formed on her forehead. After a few seconds, she pulled her hand away. The blue light faded. Ethan's mom sighed, her body relaxing for the first time that night. She's okay, Lyra said softly. For now. Ethan looked at her in disbelief. How did you do that? What are you? Lyra turned away. I shouldn't be here. They'll find me soon. Who will? Ethan asked. She looked at the window. Outside, the wind carried a strange hum like a machine far away. Her blue eyes filled with worry. The ones who were searching for me. Ethan followed her gaze. In the distance, faint lights moved between the trees like glowing eyes. He felt a shiver run down his spine. You're saying, they're coming here? Lyra nodded slowly. If they find me, your mother will die. Ethan's heart pounded. He looked at his mother, breathing softly now, and then at Lyra, this strange glowing child who had saved her. He didn't understand what was happening. But one thing was clear. The night was no longer safe. He locked the door, turned off the lamp and whispered, Then we have to hide. Lyra nodded. The humming outside grew louder, and as the blue light from her skin dimmed, the room fell into deep silence again. Until the next sound, a heavy metallic thud, echoed from the front yard. The night had not ended. Outside, the wind still cried through the trees, carrying that strange humming sound. Inside the small house, everything was quiet, too quiet. Ethan sat near his mother's bed, his eyes shifting again and again toward the glowing girl sitting in the corner. Lyra. She looked small and fragile, hugging her knees, her silver hair falling over her face. The faint blue light from her skin now flickered weakly, as if she was tired or scared. Ethan's mom was breathing better. Her chest moved softly, her face calm, no longer twisted in pain. Ethan wanted to smile, but fear held him still. What had just happened? How could that girl, that thing, heal his dying mother with just a touch? He finally spoke, voice low. "Who are you really?" Lyra looked up. Her eyes glowed again, faint but deep like pools of light. "I told you. My name is Lyra. I know. But what are you?" She hesitated. "I come from far away, a place beyond your sky. My world is not like yours. We don't fight, we don't hurt, we heal. That's our gift." Ethan frowned. "Then why are you here?" Lyra looked down. "Because I broke a rule." There was silence. Only the soft ticking of the old clock filled the room. Ethan waited. Lyra's hand shook slightly as she continued. "My people, they sent me to study your world. I wasn't supposed to touch anyone, wasn't supposed to interfere. But I heard your mother's pain even from the sky. Her breath was calling to me." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "You heard her from space?" Lyra nodded. "Pain makes noise. It reaches us even across stars." He didn't know if he should believe her, but something in her voice felt true. She wasn't lying. She looked scared, honest, and kind. Too kind to be a threat. Still, something about her story didn't make sense. "You said you broke a rule. What happens now?" Lyra turned toward the window. The humming outside was louder now, like machines searching. "They're coming for me. I used my power without permission. My people will take me back, maybe. They'll erase me." Ethan's stomach dropped. "Erase you? Like, kill you?" Lyra didn't answer, but the sadness in her face said everything. He stood up, pacing. "You saved my mom. You helped us. Why would they punish that?" "Because kindness changes things," she said softly. "They fear that. They think humans are dangerous, that your kind only takes and destroys. But I saw something else. I saw love in your house. I saw a son who wouldn't give up." Her words hit him like a wave. He felt his throat tighten. "I'm not special, I just didn't want to lose her." Lyra smiled weakly. "That's what makes you special." The light outside grew brighter, white beams moving across the trees. Ethan could hear metal footsteps on the gravel road. "They're close," Lyra whispered. Ethan moved to the window and peeked out. Shadows moved under the trees, tall figures, not human. He could see the shimmer of silver armor, the glow of blue lights along their arms. "Machines, who are they?" he asked. "Hunters," Lyra said. "They bring back anyone who breaks the law." Ethan turned to her. "We can hide." "The basement," Lyra shook her head. "They'll find me. They can feel my energy." He clenched his fists. "Then what do we do?" She hesitated, looking at his mother. "I can block them. For a while. But it will drain me." Ethan knelt beside her. "Do it, please, just long enough for them to pass." Lyra placed her small hands on the floor. A faint ring of light spread out from her fingers. The air shimmered. For a moment the sound outside faded, like the world itself had stopped. Ethan felt warmth spread through the room. The walls looked softer, almost melting into shadow. "What did you do?" he whispered. "Shield," she said softly. "They won't see us now." He looked at her face pale, her light flickering weaker. "You're hurting yourself, aren't you?" Lyra didn't answer. She looked peaceful, but her breathing was slow, like she was using all her strength to stay conscious. Minutes passed. The humming sound outside moved closer, then farther away. The lights in the forest blinked out one by one. Finally, she let go. The blue ring disappeared. Ethan caught her before she fell. Hey, stay awake." Her eyes fluttered open, faintly glowing. "You have..." "Good heart, Ethan. How do you know my name?" he asked, shocked. She smiled. "I heard it when you called your mom. Love has a sound too." He didn't know what to say. He held her carefully, laying her down near the fire. The house was quiet again. His mother still slept peacefully. Lyra closed her eyes, exhausted but safe. For now, Ethan looked at the window. The danger wasn't gone. He could feel it, like the forest itself was watching. He turned back to the sleeping alien girl, whispering to himself, "I don't know who you are, Lyra, but I'm not letting them take you." Outside, far beyond the trees, a silver drone blinked once and sent a signal into the night sky. The morning never came. The sky stayed dark, heavy with storm clouds that refused to move. The air outside the small house was thick and strange, like the world itself was holding its breath. Ethan hadn't slept. He sat near the window, eyes red from worry. His mom was still asleep, breathing gently now. On the floor, Lyra lay curled under a blanket, her silver hair dim and her skin no longer glowing. She looked almost human now, small and fragile. Ethan whispered to himself, "What are we going to do, Lyra?" The memory of last night still haunted him. The lights in the forest, the strange humming machines, her blue light protecting them from sight. She had saved them both, but it had cost her strength. He turned when she stirred, her eyes opened slowly, pale and tired. "They're still searching," she said softly, her voice weak. "I can feel them," Ethan frowned. "How close?" She hesitated. "Closer than before. They move with the wind. They smell fear." He swallowed hard. The storm outside howled again, shaking the thin windows. "Why are they after you, Lyra? You didn't do anything wrong." "I broke the rule," she whispered. "We are not allowed to change human fate. But I changed yours." He knelt beside her. "You saved my mom. That's not a crime." Her blue eyes met his. "To them, it is." Before Ethan could speak again, a low rumbling sound shook the house, deep and metallic like thunder made by machines. The lights flickered. Lyra's eyes widened. "They found us." Ethan ran to the window. At the edge of the forest, a shape moved, tall, dark, and shining. The stormlight reflected off metal. Then another shape appeared beside it, and another, 3 figures, each almost twice the height of a man, glowing with cold white lines across their armor. "They're here," Ethan whispered. Lyra sat up, breathing fast. "You must hide your mother. They can't see her." Ethan didn't argue. He lifted his mom's frail body carefully and placed her behind the bed, covering her with blankets. Then he turned to Lyra. "Where do we hide?" She pointed toward the trap door near the kitchen, the basement. Ethan grabbed her hand. "Come on." They ran quietly through the dark house. Every step made the floor creak. The sound outside grew louder, the metallic thud of footsteps. As they reached the basement door, Lyra stopped suddenly. Her head tilted, listening. "They're not human," she whispered. "They're machines, and controlled from orbit. My people are watching through them." Ethan opened the trap door. "Then we go below, fast," she nodded. But as she climbed down, one of the windows shattered, glass flying across the room. A beam of blue light shot through, scanning everything. Ethan jumped down beside Lyra, pulling the door closed above them just in time. The blue light swept over the floor where they had stood seconds ago. The basement was cold and dark. Dust filled the air. Old boxes and broken furniture surrounded them. Ethan's heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. Lyra sat in silence, eyes closed, focusing. "They are reading the energy," she said softly. "They know I'm close. Can you block it again?" he asked. She shook her head. "I don't have enough power." Ethan looked around desperately. There had to be something, some way to protect her. Then he noticed something glowing faintly through a crack in her sleeve, a small crystal attached to a thin silver chain around her wrist. "What's that?" he asked. Lyra hesitated. "A memory stone. It holds part of my power and my past. Can it help us?" She looked down. "Maybe, but it will burn away if I use it." The sound above grew louder. Footsteps now inside the house. The floorboards creaked under the weight of the hunters. A metallic voice echoed through the halls. "Subject Lyra 47 detected. Initiating recovery protocol." Ethan felt sweat run down his neck. He whispered, "They're in the house." Lyra's eyes glowed faintly again. "Ethan, if I use the crystal, it will hide us, but I will lose everything. My memory, my name, maybe even my light." He froze. "Then don't. We'll find another way." But Lyra smiled sadly. "I already chose my way in the moment I knocked on your door." Before he could stop her, she pressed her palm to the glowing stone. A bright blue light filled the basement, soft, warm, and silent. The air shimmered. The footsteps above stopped. The humming of the machines faded like a dying echo. Ethan covered his eyes. When the light finally dimmed, Lyra was lying on the ground, her skin pale and her glow gone completely. The crystal around her wrist had turned to ash. "Lyra!" Ethan whispered, shaking her. "Hey, wake up. Please." Her lips moved slightly. "You're safe." Then she went still. Above them, the metal voice spoke again, fainter now. "Signal lost. Subject no longer active. Mission terminated." The heavy footsteps faded one by one until the house was quiet again. Ethan sat there in the dark, holding her tiny hand, his heart breaking. Outside, the wind finally calmed. The storm was ending. But inside, it felt like the world had stopped breathing. He looked at her face, peaceful, almost smiling. "Don't leave," he whispered. "Not after all this." And somewhere deep in the silence, the faintest blue spark flickered once on her skin, as if her story wasn't over yet. The night faded slowly into gray dawn. Rain still whispered against the broken windows, and the smell of wet earth filled the house. Ethan sat on the basement floor, holding the little alien girl in his arms. Lyra's light was gone. Her silver hair had lost its shine, and her breathing was soft, almost silent. Ethan had been sitting there for hours, afraid that if he blinked, she might disappear completely. He whispered, "You're not gone. You can't be." His mother was still asleep upstairs, safe for now. But the peace in the house felt empty, hollow, the kind of silence that hurt. Then, suddenly, a small warmth spread across his hand. He looked down. A faint blue spark flickered beneath Lyra's skin, glowing once, then fading. "Lyra," he whispered, her eyes opened slowly. They were dim but alive. "You stayed," she murmured. "Of course I stayed," he said quickly. "You saved us again." Lyra blinked, looking confused. "I shouldn't be alive." "The crystal was my life source." Ethan smiled faintly. "Maybe your people forgot something." She tilted her head. "What?" He touched his chest. "Humans never give up." A weak laugh escaped her lips, the first time he'd heard her laugh. "Maybe that's why I came here." For a moment the air felt lighter, but it didn't last. Outside, the distant hum of machines echoed again, faint but real. Ethan's face hardened. "They'll come back, won't they?" Lyra nodded slowly. "They never stop. Not until I'm gone." He stood up. "Then we run." Lyra looked at him with tired eyes. "No, you can't leave your mother. She's still weak." "My healing was only half." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then tell me how to fix her." "There has to be a way." Lyra hesitated. "There is, but it's far away." He knelt beside her. "Where?" She reached into the folds of her silver suit, faintly glowing still, and pulled out a small shard of blue crystal, shaped like a tear. It pulsed softly in her hand. "This is part of the heart crystal," she said quietly. "It was broken long ago. The main piece can heal any human fully. It lies near the crash site and where my ship fell." Ethan stared at it, speechless. "So it's real?" Lyra nodded. "But it's guarded. The ones who hunt me, they keep it. If I try to take it, they will destroy it, and me." He looked toward the stairs. "Then I'll go." Lyra's expression turned sharp. "You can't, it's dangerous." He smiled slightly. "You think I care? My mom needs it, and you need it too." Lyra's small hand reached for his arm. "If you die, she will be alone again. Don't risk that." Ethan looked straight into her glowing eyes. "If I do nothing, she still dies. I can't let that happen. You said I have a good heart, right?" Lyra's lips trembled. "Yes, too good." He placed his hand over hers. "Then trust it." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The basement was filled only with the sound of rain above. Then Lyra finally nodded. "Okay," she whispered. "But you'll need this." She pressed the small blue shard into his palm. It felt warm, almost alive. "What does it do?" "It's a guide," she said softly. "It will glow when you are near the main crystal. But if it turns black, you must run." Ethan looked at her, surprised. "Why?" "Because it means they're already there." He slipped the shard into his jacket pocket and stood. "Then I'll move fast." Lyra looked at him with something new in her eyes. Pride, maybe even hope. "You remind me of someone," she said quietly. "Someone from my world who believed love could change everything." He smiled. Maybe they were right. As he started toward the stairs, Lyra called softly, "Ethan?" He turned. She looked at him with a faint glow returning to her skin. "Promise me one thing." What? No matter what happens out there, come back. He nodded without hesitation. I promise. Then he climbed up the creaky stairs, the blue light from the shard flickering faintly through his pocket. Outside, the storm had cleared. A pale morning sun touched the trees, turning the wet leaves silver. But far in the distance, deep in the forest, 3 bright lights hovered in the air, watching. Ethan didn't notice them. He only felt the warmth of the shard and the memory of Lyra's soft voice echoing in his mind. Come back. Behind him in the basement, Lyra sat quietly, staring at her hands. The blue veins under her skin glowed brighter for a moment, forming strange symbols that faded too fast to read. She whispered to herself, if he finds it, maybe both worlds can be saved. Then she looked up toward the window, and her eyes widened. A dark shadow was moving toward the house again. The forest had never looked so alive, nor again so dangerous. Every branch dripped with rain. The fog hung low, wrapping around trees like pale ghosts. Ethan moved carefully, clutching the glowing shard in his hand. It pulsed with faint blue light, leading him forward. He whispered to himself, just a little more. Hang in there, Mom. Behind him, the world felt too quiet. Even the birds had stopped singing. The silence was heavy, like the forest itself was watching him. He stepped over a fallen log, mud clinging to his shoes. The air smelled of iron and smoke. That's when he saw it. A long trail of silver marks burned into the ground, twisting deep into the woods. Lyra had said her ship crashed somewhere out here. He followed the marks. The trees grew darker, their roots tangled like hands reaching out to stop him. Every few minutes the shard flickered, brighter when he moved closer, darker when he hesitated. Ethan's heart pounded. Almost there. Then down a sound, a faint metallic click behind him. He spun around. Nothing, only fog and trees. He waited, breathing hard. Then another sound, closer this time. A low hum like a machine charging. Lyra, you didn't tell me how many of them there are, he whispered. A flash of blue light shot past him, hitting a tree. The bark exploded. Ethan ducked, rolling behind a fallen trunk. The forest erupted with sound, the heavy steps of metal feet, voices speaking in strange patterns. Human detected. Interference confirmed. Ethan gritted his teeth. Not today. He ran, branches whipped against his face. The shard in his hand glowed brighter with each step, guiding him toward something. Maybe the ship, maybe death. The humming grew louder behind him. Blue lights flashed through the fog. He jumped over rocks, slid down wet slopes, his breath sharp and fast. The forest was endless, and until he saw it, a metallic shape between the trees. Huge, broken, half buried in the mud. The crash site. The ship looked like a silver heart cracked in two. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its side. Blue steam rose from its core, painting the fog with light. Ethan stumbled forward, staring in awe. So it's real. The shard in his hand burned bright. It pointed him toward the ship's center, where a crystal pulsed slowly like it was breathing. The heart crystal. It was beautiful and alive. He moved closer, but a voice stopped him. Step away from the relic, human. Ethan froze. A tall figure stepped out of the fog, one of the hunters. Its armor was silver and sharp-edged, its eyes glowing with cold blue light. He could hear more footsteps behind it. They were surrounding him. Where's Lyra? The machine demanded. Ethan stood still, gripping the shard tight. Far from here. You'll never find her. The machine tilted its head. Then your life ends here. Before he could move, a flash of blue light came from behind him. A beam struck the ground, exploding dirt into the air. Ethan dove aside, the shard flying from his hand. The hunters advanced, their metallic hands rising. But something strange happened. The shard lying on the ground began to pulse, faster and faster, until it shot a wave of blue light across the clearing. The hunters stopped mid-step. Their glowing eyes flickered. Ethan looked up in shock. What the? The heart crystal in the center of the ship responded. It glowed so bright it painted the entire forest blue. The air shook with sound, like 1,000 voices whispering at once. Human heartbeat. Connected. Ethan's eyes widened. Connected to what? The crystal flared again. The hunters froze completely, their armor cracking with lines of light. Then, silence. They stood still like statues, blue smoke rising from them. Ethan crawled forward, reaching for the shard. When he touched it, a voice filled his mind, soft, familiar, and filled with warmth. "Ethan, you found it. Lyra?" he whispered. "Yes, the crystal links us. I can see what you see." He looked around. They were going to kill me. The crystal stopped them. "It knows you are with me now." Ethan stood staring at the glowing heart inside the ship. "Then tell me what to do. How do I save my mom?" "Take a fragment from the heart. It will heal her fully. But it will cost something." "What cost?" "If you take it, the balance will break. My people will come here themselves." Ethan took a deep breath. "Then let them come." He reached out and touched the heart crystal. A shock of warmth spread through his arm, racing to his chest. Images flashed in his head. Lyra's world, bright oceans, skies full of light, and faces watching him from across galaxies. He pulled away, holding a glowing piece of the heart crystal in his hand. "Got it," he said, breathing hard. "Hurry, Ethan, they're moving again." "The connection won't last long." He looked back. The hunters were twitching, their frozen limbs beginning to glow again. Ethan didn't wait. He ran, through the forest, through the fog, heart pounding with every step. Behind him, the wreck of the ship began to hum louder, the sound shaking the earth. The hunters screamed in mechanical rage, but Ethan didn't look back. He ran toward home, toward his mother, and toward whatever waited next. Back in the house, Lyra's eyes snapped open. She gasped, feeling the connection burst through her. Her hand glowed faintly, the same color as the crystal. She whispered, "He found it. He really found it." But her joy turned to fear as she felt another presence, something massive, watching Earth from the sky. "Protocol override, planetary retrieval commencing." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "Nope, not now." She looked toward the door, whispering into the air, "Ethan, please hurry." The wind screamed through the forest. Branches bent and snapped under invisible pressure as if the sky itself had grown angry. Above the clouds, lights flickered. Not lightning, but something else. Something watching. Ethan ran faster than he ever had before. His heart pounded, his lungs burned, but he didn't stop. In his hand, the fragment of the heart crystal glowed brighter with each step. It pulsed like a heartbeat, steady, warm, alive. He whispered between breaths, "Hold on, Mom." "Hold on." Behind him, the sound of metal footsteps echoed again, louder, closer. The hunters had awakened. Their voices carried through the fog. "Retrieve the relic. Terminate the anomaly." Ethan stumbled down the muddy slope toward his home. Every sound, every branch breaking, every hum felt like a countdown. Then through the trees he saw it. The small house. The faint yellow light from the window. Home. He pushed open the door and ran inside, slamming it behind him. His mother was lying on the bed, still breathing weakly. Beside her sat Lyra, her light dim and trembling. When she saw Ethan, her eyes widened with relief and fear. "You found it," she whispered. He held up the glowing crystal. "This is it, right?" "The heart crystal fragment." Lyra nodded, her voice shaking. "Yes, but Ethan..." "They followed you." Outside, the wind roared like thunder. The walls shook. The lights flickered again. Ethan turned to her. "Then we end this. Tell me how to use it." Lyra looked at his mother, then at him. "It only works if someone gives life energy to activate it." He frowned. "Then I'll do it." She shook her head. "No, a human can't survive that transfer." "Then who? Me," she said softly. Ethan froze. "No, you already gave too much." "You'll die." Lyra looked down at her hands, the blue light flickering weaker than before. "I was never meant to live here. My body is already fading. But your mother still has time. You deserve a chance to keep your family." He stepped closer. "There has to be another way." "Maybe we can both," Lyra smiled sadly. "You humans always hope for two miracles. Sometimes one is enough." The sound outside grew louder. The sky flashed white. The roof trembled. Ethan looked toward the window. The forest was filled with light. Giant shadows moved between the trees. The hunters were coming. Lyra placed her hand on the glowing fragment. "Hold her hand," she said gently. Ethan rushed to his mother's side and took her hand. Her skin was cold. He could barely feel her pulse. Lyra closed her eyes. A soft hum filled the room, low and beautiful like a song from another world. The light from the crystal spread across her body, turning her skin into living starlight. Ethan stared in awe. "Lyra, what's happening?" Her voice was faint now, almost a whisper. "The heart crystal listens to love. I'm giving it everything I have. The light grew stronger. It filled the room, spilling through cracks in windows. The hunters outside stopped in their tracks, blinded by the glow. Unauthorized energy surge. Containment failed. Their metallic voices echoed and faded as the light swallowed them. Inside, Ethan's mother gasped, once, twice, and then her breathing steadied. Color returned to her face. The blue glow wrapped around her like a warm blanket. "Mom," Ethan whispered, tears running down his cheeks. Lyra smiled weakly, her light flickering fast now like a candle in the wind. "She's safe now." He turned toward her, panic in his voice. "Stop, you'll disappear." She shook her head. "This was always the way. My people were wrong about humans. You fight, you care, you love, even when it hurts. That's your power." Ethan grabbed her hand, his own shaking. "Then stay and see it. Stay with us." Her blue eyes looked into his, soft and endless. "I can't, but I'll be part of you, always." The light around her body shimmered brighter, then began to fade into tiny glowing particles, floating upward like fireflies. Ethan held on tighter. "Please don't go." Her voice was barely audible now. "Tell your mom. I was happy to help," and then silence. The light faded completely. Only the small crystal fragment remained on the bed, now dull and gray. Ethan's mother opened her eyes slowly. "Ethan, what happened?" "Who was that girl?" He wiped his tears and smiled softly. "A friend, Mom. Someone who came when we needed her most." Outside, the storm finally broke. The sky cleared, revealing a blanket of stars, shining brighter than ever before. One of those stars flickered softly, blue, alive, watching. Ethan looked up and whispered, "Thank you, Lyra." But as he turned away, something strange happened. The dull crystal on the bed pulsed once, faint, almost invisible, and a quiet voice echoed in his mind. "Ethan, I'm still here." He looked toward the window, eyes wide, heart racing, and for the first time he didn't feel alone. Morning sunlight slowly touched the small house, spilling gold across the floor. For the first time in weeks, the air felt warm, alive. Ethan stood by the window, watching the sky. The storm was gone. The clouds had drifted away, leaving behind a wide sea of blue. Birds were singing again, but inside him there was still a quiet ache, a hole that light could not fill. On the bed, his mother slept peacefully. Her face had color again, her breathing calm and steady. The sickness that once took her breath was gone. Ethan smiled softly. "You made it, Mom." Then he looked down at his hand. In his palm lay the dull gray crystal, once bright, once alive. He whispered, "Lyra, where are you?" The house was silent. Only the wind answered. He placed the crystal on the table and sat down, staring at it as if it might suddenly speak. Hours passed. Then, just as the sun reached the top of the sky, the crystal shimmered faintly, one soft pulse of blue light. Ethan leaned closer. "Lyra?" The crystal pulsed again, brighter. And then he heard it. A voice, soft, distant, but full of warmth. "Ethan." His eyes filled with tears. "Lyra, you're alive?" "Not alive like before," the voice said gently. "But I'm part of the heart crystal now. My energy lives inside this piece you hold." He gripped the crystal tight. "I don't care what form you're in. You kept your promise. You saved her." There was a pause, almost like a breath. Then Lyra's voice returned, quieter. "You kept your promise too. You came back." Ethan smiled through the tears. "You thought I wouldn't? I hoped you would." For a long moment, neither spoke. The only sound was the slow rhythm of the wind. Then Lyra's tone changed, softer, almost proud. "My people watched everything. They saw what you did. You risked your life for love. You protected someone who could give you nothing in return. They can't erase that anymore." Ethan frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means the test is over." The light from the crystal grew brighter, filling the room with a soft blue glow. Ethan shielded his eyes. "Lyra, what's happening?" "Something new," she said. "The heart crystal was never meant just to heal. It connects worlds. My people thought humans were dangerous, but you proved them wrong. Now they will listen." The floor vibrated softly. The air shimmered like heat on desert sand. Outside, the sunlight bent, a thin ray of blue stretching up toward the sky like a bridge. Ethan stepped closer to the window, awe filling his face. "Is that you?" It's us, Lyra whispered. You and me. Human and alien. Heart and hope. This connection will stay. It will grow. Tears rolled down his cheeks. So this is goodbye? There was silence. Then the voice spoke again, tender, peaceful. Not goodbye, just another kind of hello. The light faded slowly, sinking back into the crystal until only a faint glow remained. Ethan stood there for a long time, staring at it, his chest heavy but full. He finally smiled. I'll keep it safe. I promise. He turned toward his mother, who was now sitting up, looking stronger than ever. She asked softly, "Who are you talking to?" Ethan smiled gently. "A friend from far, far away." His mother tilted her head. "A friend? Do I know her?" Ethan looked out the window again toward the sky. The sun was bright, but in the far distance one star shone blue, glowing even in daylight. He whispered, "You will someday." He walked outside, barefoot on the cool grass. The morning breeze brushed his face. The world looked new, as if washed clean by everything they had endured. He held the crystal up to the sun. It caught the light, sending a small blue beam upward. For a second the air hummed softly. Familiar, kind. Lyra's voice came one last time. Faint, like the echo of a dream. "Thank you for teaching me what it means to be human." Ethan closed his eyes, smiling through tears. "And thank you for showing me what it means to love." As he lowered the crystal, the blue star in the sky flickered once and then twice, like a heartbeat in the heavens. The wind carried a whisper through the trees, soft and gentle, wrapping around him like an embrace. He felt peace. Ethan turned toward the house, his mother waving from the door. He walked back to her, holding the crystal close to his heart. Behind him, the blue light faded into the sky, not gone, just resting among the stars. The world was quiet again. But now it was a different kind of quiet, the kind that carries a secret only two souls in the universe would ever share. And somewhere, far beyond the stars, Lyra smiled. The end.